medical records. I've alluded to this already. We're missing a lot of brain injuries in medical records. We're missing important types of exposure like contact sports and collision sports. And this is a two-sided problem. That means we are missing people that should be in our TBI group, and it also means there are a ton of people in our no TBI group that have actually had a TBI. So it makes it a little bit challenging to actually make a lot of conclusions from this research. The work I focus in aging and dementia, we do not ask these questions well. Now, some of this is practical. If it's a dementia study, we cannot ask every question about every possible risk factor known to man. But it also makes it hard to use existing dementia studies to actually learn a lot about this. Because at most, you might get a question like, did this person ever lose consciousness from a head injury? You're gonna miss a lot of people with that. Most of these studies also can't even capture how frequently these injuries occur. Medical records are bad at this. If you've got one in the medical record, you've had a TBI, but can't tell me if you've had 2, 3, 4. And as you might guess, the more, the worse. So it's not an insignificant difference to have, say, 4 or 5 TBI versus 1 TBI. As I mentioned in this, again, like the no TBI group, probably full of people with a TBI. If you're looking at a study and there's not close to 30% of an older adult population that's had a TBI, they're missing people with a TBI, and it makes it hard to interpret those results. There's this other problem in the dementia research world, especially if you're focusing only on older adults, of what's called reverse causality. Meaning, how do we know for sure that the individual did not already have a degenerative process happening when they had their TBI? I already mentioned that that process is going on for decades before your symptoms start. So it wouldn't make sense, for example, if somebody had a TBI at age 70, had symptoms at age 71, to assume that that TBI caused a neurodegenerative disease that led to those symptoms. It's simply too fast. So some of these studies do something like require there's got to be at least 10 years between that brain injury and the onset of dementia symptoms for it to count, to try to get a hold of this problem of assuming something was because of a TBI, when in fact it might have been due to something else altogether. We have the same problem on the dementia side. So this is not just a TBI problem. Medical records don't do a great job of actually capturing people with a true dementia diagnosis, let alone the type of dementia that somebody might have. Oftentimes we'll see in a medical record Alzheimer's disease when really they just mean they have dementia. And hopefully by this point I've said it enough, not all dementia is Alzheimer's disease. You guys were way ahead of me with these other types of dementia. And one of the challenges with these is that unless you're at a specialty center, these get missed all the time. They might be called Alzheimer's disease, they might generally be called dementia, but it's really hard to trust just a broad general medical record review that what you're seeing there is truly accurate.